Hey everyone, Ipsy here. Today I am going to teach you how to start your crochet project. This is pretty much the basis of everything you're going to do in crochet. Any stitch that you learn on top of this one always starts this way. The things that you will need today are some yarn. I just have a weight 4, worsted weight, medium weight, whatever you want to call it, yarn. You will need a hook. I do recommend that if you're just starting out that you use an H or an I hook. They're just the easiest ones to start out with and not make too tight when you're just starting out and just learning. And then you will probably need a pair of scissors as well. All right, so to start, we're going to make something called a slip knot. This knot is really cool because you can make it bigger and smaller, which is very important when you're crocheting because you don't want that first chain stitch to be too big or too small because it'll look funny with the rest of your project. You want it to be even with the rest of them. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold your yarn like this. So I'm going to have the shorter end in my thumb and pointer finger. You could hold it however you want. And then I'm just going to grip that longer end. And then you're going to have your pointer and middle finger on your other hand. I'm right-handed. You could do this the other way too if you're left-handed. And then all you're going to do is you're just going to flip that so that your pointer finger is on top. You're going to take the long end. So I have the long end in my bottom, on the bottom of my hand. You're going to make sure that that goes over top of your shorter end. So you have a bigger loop there. Obviously that's not going to stay because it's just over top of it. And then all you're going to do is you're going to grab that shorter end. Make sure you keep hold of it with your other hand though, because you don't want to just pull it through. That's just going to make a knot. And you're just going to pull it through that big loop that you just made. And that makes a slip knot. So this knot is super cool. You can make it bigger. You can make it smaller. It just really does whatever you want it to do, which is really nice. And if you mess up, it can just go away, which is also really nice. I'm going to remake that. Okay. The next thing you're going to want to do is to find out how you want to hold your hook. This might take some time to figure out for you, but that's okay. I tested out in a few different ways, see what other ways you can find online. There are multiple ways to do this. So I always hold it like this, kind of in my fist. That's what I feel most comfortable with. I've also seen people, quite a few people actually, hold it more like this, like a pencil. It's up to you what you think will work best with you. Some people's hands feel better in one position or the other. And there's other ways to hold your hook as well. So just experiment a little bit. That's the beginning, is just experimentation. And then you're going to need to know how to hold your yarn. So I'm going to loop this onto my hook, tighten it a tiny bit by pulling that short end. There are a couple of different ways that I personally go back and forth between. There are other ways, I'm sure, but these are the ways that I've done it. So you're going to take and put your slip knot on your hook because that's how you're going to have it. So it's probably better to try this with that slip knot on your hook because that's how you're going to crochet. And then hold your hook in that hand. I usually, at least at the beginning, hold that tail out of the way for a little bit at least, just so I can grab what I need to grab. Now, the way I usually hold my yarn is I will loop that long end just once over my pointer finger, and then I will grab the other, or the long end, that's farther away from my hook, with my ring and my pinky finger. Another thing I will do, depending on how my tension is that day, I'll do it twice over my pointer finger. Helps it not be so stiff, or be a little more stiff, I guess is the better word. But so sometimes I will do that for tension's sake. Another way that I have seen a lot of people do, and I do this sometimes depending on how my tension is feeling and if my fingers are getting tired of holding it there, you'll take the long end, loop it around your pinky, and then over top of your hand or your fingers, around back, and then to the forward or to the front on your ring finger or pointer finger, sorry. And you can do that twice on that pointer finger too. It's just kind of however you want. Okay, so the main stitch that you will learn today is called a chain stitch. As I said, this is the base of everything else you're going to do in crochet. So it's pretty easy. You're just going to take your hook, hold your yarn and your hook however you want, however works best for you. And then you're going to take the long end. Not going to work with the short end at all, just want it out of the way. You're going to take the long end, and you're just going to take the hook part of your hook and loop it around that long end and then just pull it through. Okay, do a couple more. If you are using this kind of yarn, you're going to want to make sure to get all the strands through that loop. So just a little trick for you. You don't want your loop to be this big, right? Because that's not gonna look nice. So I usually make mine about, I don't know twice, 1.5-ish times as big as my hook. It'll be up to how you're feeling with it. And when you loop that, you're not going to want to take it through this end that's flush against your hook. That's just going to be too hard. I honestly can't even get it through, and I'm trying. So that's just not going to work. So if you can see, it's kind of like a little teardrop shape, that loop is. Can't really see it as well. But towards the knot or the previous chains that you have done, there is a gap that's not against your hook. This is also why you don't want it too tight, because you're not going to be able to see that, and it's going to be very difficult to get that through. So you're going to want a little bit looser. And so instead of going through the outside, you're going to want to take your hook and pull that yarn through the point of the teardrop shape. It's going to be a lot easier to get it through and a lot less frustrating. Okay, so you're just going to keep doing that. And I would suggest that you keep doing this until you're comfortable with it. So like I said, it's the base of everything else you're going to do. So it's very important to be able to get that down, and your slip stitch as well. Or your slip knot. So in a lot of patterns, it will say chain, and then however many chains you're supposed to do. This is often abbreviated in a pattern to CH as well. And then, so you're just going to do that, count how many there are. To count them, if you lose track, I don't know how well you can see it, but I've had kids that I've taught call these braids before, because it kind of does look like a little braid, but you're just going to count the bumps. So I hope you can see that, but there's 1 bump, 2 bumps, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I did 6 chains, and those are going to be important because you're going to want to go through those after, or when you're adding on and adding rows. These are also used at the end of rows when you're doing things like single crochet, double, half double, all those pretty typical chain or stitches that you will learn. So they are called a turning chain in that case. And that will tell you to add those at the end of the row. This also prevents your work from becoming a triangle. I had that problem when I was just learning. I would end up making things triangles or making things just gradually go in because I didn't add those turning chains. All right, I hope today you were able to follow along. If you do have any questions, please let me know down below in the comment section. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to learn more with you about crocheting in the future. I hope to see you all soon. Bye.